All right, Rob. Well, look, one of the things that made my weekend so good was the Minnesota Timberwolves doing exactly what I said they would do, which is beating the Denver Nuggets in 7 games. Now, it's just fun to be right. You know that, Rob. We throw out our predictions, and you love to
we
be
thrive
right.
for it. Are you kidding?
Yep.
In the first half, Chris, I had baby oil going. Okay, I just want you to know that.
Yeah, well,
I'm not
you ain't no baby oil going now. That's for darn sure.
I'm just telling you, because after the Knicks lost in 7, you remember I had the Pacers.
Yeah.
So
baby oil.
I was feeling good.
Yeah.
Good, and that did not come to fruition. Okay.
Well, here's why it didn't come to fruition. Here was what Rob Parker, after game 5, when the Nuggets took a 3-2 lead, a microwave take. Here we go.
Time to reheat an old hot take that's gone cold.
My headphones are not working.
Icicle in the middle.
It's Microwave Take with the Odd Couple.
I'm feeling the same way about Denver. And I think that this is a 6-game series as well. And Minnesota doesn't win again.
Wow. Well, what you didn't hear is, Chris Broussard, you're a prisoner of the moment. You're always wrong. Jokic is better than Shaq. All of that madness I had to listen to, knowing I would be vindicated. But I had to take it. And now, Rob Parker must eat his words. And Rob, here's what I want to ask you. I'm not going to belabor this. Do you think that what we saw, because Denver was up 15 at half and 20, Rob, in the early in the third quarter, like about 10 and a half minutes left in the third quarter.
That's a 28-point turnaround, Chris. 20 plus to
30.
lose by 8. No, but I'm saying to lose by 8.
Oh, right. Well, and at one point they were down 10.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
30-point. Yeah. So do you think this was a collapse? I'm sorry. By Denver, or was this a great comeback by Minnesota? And we know there's a mix of both. But
right.
What do you think is more predominant?
I call it a choke, and I call it a choke job on Denver's part, Chris. Not just it's twofold. Obviously, 20 points in the third quarter at home. You don't even have to pour it on. All you got to do is kind of match baskets. You know what I mean? They're gonna have a run. You just got to not let it string into, giving up scoring 14 points in the third quarter, having a dud quarter like that where they pick up 11 points. I mean, that's the ball game. And the other part and why I say it's a choke is they lost 3 games at home. You can't be defending champs and feel like you have a chance to maybe repeat, Chris, and lose 3 games at home in a series that you lost 4 games to 3. You didn't lose 3 games at home and lose 4 games to 1 and where you were never in it or whatever. You lost a 7-game series where you lost 3 at home, including Game 7 where you were up by 20. It's an ultimate choke job, especially by a defending champ.
See, I would disagree, and I would say that it was a fantastic comeback by Minnesota. And I say that because I feel like you choke when you're the better team. And I think Minnesota proved it was the better team. Now, close, 7-game series. Obviously, I'm not saying they're head and shoulders above the Nuggets. But I felt, Rob, they outplayed Denver decisively as you could in a close 7-game series. Like
when they lost 3 in a row?
They won. Yeah, I'm about to explain to you. They won 3 out of 4, as you mentioned, in Denver. Very hard to do. They won a game by 45 points, led by 50. If that isn't supremacy, I don't know what is. And then in Game 7, they are down 20, and I'm sure saying to themselves, hold up, we've beaten this team twice on this floor. We've beaten them by or led them by 50. We can definitely outscore them by 20 now. And they did it. And in fact, outscored them by 30 at one point in the span of, little over like about a quarter and a half. And Rob, throughout the series, the 7 games, check this out. The Timberwolves were superior to the Nuggets in every single way. They scored more points over the 7 games. They shot better from the field. They made more free throws. They had more rebounds, more assists, more steals, more blocks, and fewer turnovers. They beat them in every way. Now, close, but they beat them. What Denver had was the best player in the world. But as far as the team, Minnesota's better. Rob, their best player, if Jokic goes 6 for 24 like Anthony Edwards did, is there any way Denver's winning? No.
Well, but that answers my question. I mean, that builds my case on why it was such a choke job by Denver, Chris, just because of that reason. Anthony Edwards has a horrendous 6 for 24
shooting game.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, shooting. And you lose that game at home when you're up by 20. It's a choke.
Other players stepped up.
But that's a choke.
Jaden McDaniels, Carl Anthony.
You can't count on when your
you
guy.
You can't count on them every night.
No. But they did. No, I
to.
get it. But that's why I say it's a choke.
Yeah, I don't think. Like I said, I think that it was a great comeback. But Denver or Minnesota's depth and their defense. That's what they had. We know Denver didn't have the depth that it had last year, and ultimately that came back to bite them. Rob, Denver had 4 players in the series average double-figure points. Minnesota had 6. Minnesota played a game without Rudy Gobert and then another game without Mike Conley. Like, they played 2 games without a starter. I mean, so they just, to me, they proved that they were the better team. Simple as that. I got Minnesota going all the way, Rob. I give, Dallas obviously a chance. I got Minnesota in 6, but I think, Dallas is a good team. So who is at this point, who do you, because I think you had picked Denver to win it all.
I'm taking Dallas.
I'm going to take
Dallas now.
You got Dallas?
Yep. And people will still be mad because the European player will still wind up being in the mix. I know we've seen some American basketball is back now because the Joker's out.
I saw that from Nick Young.
Yeah, but I'm not.
I mean,
that
doesn't
yet.
make sense.
No, I know. I thought the
you know
same
what I'm saying?
thing.
I mean, Anthony Edwards is wonderful, and we all like him. But he at this point, Rob, he's not better than Jokic.
Thank you. I mean, that's what I thought. Like, okay, they won the series, but let's not get crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, Rob, people, because when you have a debate about players and who's better, whether it's GOAT, whether it's just 2 players, who's better, and because rings are a part of the discussion, Rob, or wins are a part of the discussion, some people go overboard and to the extreme and feel like just because you won, your team won means you as an individual player are better. It doesn't mean that. I just talked about, Rob, the depth, how that's what, saved Minnesota and enabled them to prevail. So, yeah, but it's a good win. And isn't, Rob, we talked about this a week or 2 ago. This is the era of parity. This will be the 6th new champion or 6th different champion in the last 6 years.
That's impressive.
And the winner has never gotten past the second round in it the following year after they won.
That's crazy.
It is, and it feels good. I mean, Rob, we know the 70s, the league was really messed up, a lot of drug use.
There was a lot of stuff going on, right?
Yeah, and for the first half of the decade, half of the best players in the world were in the ABA, not the NBA. So it was a lot that the league had going on that it had to correct.
Right.
But now,
tape
Rob,
delay, all of that.
Yeah.
It was not good.
Now, if the parity to me is good, because you got all these great young players, Jokic, Anthony Edwards, Luka, Jason Tatum. Let's see what Ja Morant looks like when he comes back.
Well, he's almost on the back burner, isn't he?
He is right now, but obviously,
saying,
I would imagine he can still play.
Yeah,
He's been out of the league for a year and a half.
I'm just saying it's just unfair.
But I haven't forgotten about him because I expect him to come back and be. I mean, people talking about Anthony Edwards. Ja wasn't just as good. He wasn't the defender Edwards is, but He was fantastic. So you've got a lot of these great young players, Rod, kind of fighting to see which one can maybe take over this era. Yeah, I didn't even mention Giannis and Embiid and guys like that. So it is very exciting.